Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to open your mind, get curious about yourself and connect to the power you hold within. I am your host, Karen Maloney, an inside-out coach, helping you to believe in yourself and manifest your desires. Check out the podcast, available on all platforms, and go to my website, www.karenmaloney.com for all info. Welcome everybody. Hello. Thanks for joining for another episode. It's me, Karen Maloney, and I have another wonderful conversation for you today. There's lots of information shared in this episode, so you may need to come back and listen a couple of times to really gather all the information that today's guest is sharing. So today joining me is Nis Aslan, and Nis is a mindset coach who focuses on healing past emotional trauma and reprogramming the subconscious mind in order to achieve a better quality of life and gain the skills to consciously create your desired life experience. After years of studying the more esoteric and spiritual aspects of life and trying to find ways to utilize that knowledge to truly improve and change everyday life without any great success, Nis accidentally discovered the connection of her own subconscious mind, unconscious patterns, and the role that her conscious decisions are playing. She's become an expert in seeing the connections between mental activity or thought processes and the resulting experiences that her clients have. She explains the process of changing oneself based on biology and patterns of our brain and teaches methods on how to truly heal the past and develop new thinking habits. Acceptance, a change in self-concept, and methods to practice emotional regulation are the key elements of her coaching and the information she shares on her YouTube channel called 5 Min Subs. And again, there is so much information that Nis shares on this episode, especially about the subconscious mind, what it is and how we can learn to feel less affected or live at the mercy of it and learn to become more conscious in our day-to-day lives, in what we're thinking, in how we're choosing to react, being present, and so much more. She talks about how 50% of the past as we remember it is not true, how our inner child is clouded by emotional reactions, how we live in a world of consumption and distraction and we're on autopilot or sleepwalking through our lives, and also how purging or feeling discomfort or uncomfortable when we're making change is totally normal. So again, lots in this episode. I believe it's one you will come back to again and again and hear different nuggets and information each time and learn a little bit more. And if you want to check out more on Nis's work, again, her YouTube channel is 5 Min Subs. That's the number 5 MINSUBS, 5 Min Subs. And her Facebook group is called I Want It, I Got It. But again, as always, I will have direct links to all her work from my website, karenmaloney.com. Click the podcast section and click this episode. And finally, if someone is looking to work one-to-one with me as well, feel free to reach out, support@karenmaloney.com. As always, I offer one-to-one coaching and silent counseling, again, to help you to come back to you and to free yourself and take back the power in your life. So pop me an email, we can connect. And other than that, enjoy this episode. Bye. Hello everybody. Welcome. It's me, Karen Maloney, and thanks for joining for another episode. And I have the wonderful Nis joining me today, who I'm a super fan of your YouTube channel. So first of all, you're very welcome and thanks for joining.
Oh, thank you so much. And hello from me too.
Yeah, and we're distances apart, but you're a mindset coach and you share a lot on your YouTube about reprogramming the subconscious mind, self-concept, and all these wonderful techniques and truths, I suppose, in one sense as well. But maybe if you just share a little bit about your background and what led you to the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, sure, of course, of course. Well, my background is a little bit chaotic, honestly. It's, um, I would say, for the most time, I would just of my life, I would just avoid anything that could potentially be weird or considered woo woo or considered something religious. And that's just due to childhood and what I've experienced growing up in an Arabic family, then mother getting remarried to a German person who was fanatic with Christianity and had like his own ideas there. And there was just like a lot of chaos going on essentially. And I was always kind of repulsed by the idea of leaning on anything except myself for any kind of help. But of course, I would always complain constantly that, oh, this is so hard and I don't know what to do and stuff like that, right? And I had this basically those typical things that we all struggle with: being a people pleaser, being a little bit of a pushover, being a little bit of a victim here and there. I had several really bad experiences, but they were all kind of the same, even though the places, the situations, and the people changed,
Mm.
right? So it was like school was kind of, even though school is was like the easiest thing for me, the interactions with the people there, I had issues. Then I went to university and it was the same. It was always like I was misunderstood. Every time I raised my hand to ask a question, be like, why are you teaching it like that? I legitimately want to understand why.
Yeah.
I got stupid feedback like, why are you here? Why are you studying that? And the same happened when I started working, when I was done studying music. And then oh God, that sounds so cheesy, but this is like the story that most of us actually have. Then I met this guy and I madly fell in love with him. And for absolutely no reason, he just his presence, like it's not what he said or what he did, it is just his presence and sometimes what he would ask me led
Mm.
me to see patterns in my life and for the first time understand, oh my God, I am the only constant in all of these patterns. Like everything else changes all of the time, but I'm still me, right? It doesn't matter where I go. It doesn't matter where I live. It doesn't matter where I work. And I've traveled the entire world except for America.
Mm.
And every time it was the same. And it just hit me out of nowhere. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, now I feel bad about myself. Great. Awesome. What to do about that, right? And then I met with my mother, and she's been trying to push like the whole law of attraction thing on me for quite a while because it seems to have been working for her in terms of writing letters to the universe,
Mm.
like asking for things, but it just never resonated with me because again, it was something outside of me that was
Mm.
supposed to be in charge for my life. And I just don't, that doesn't sit with me.
Uh-huh.
And my mother also told me that one of my first words was not mommy or daddy or dada or anything. It was alone. When she
Alone?
tried, yes,
Wow.
when she tried to fed me, I would get mad and I would throw away the spoon and I would be like, alone. So
Alone.
I've always been a little bit like that. And I have, even though my main career so far was in music management and music business in general, I have always been the person to go to get advice from. It was like, Nis, I need to pick your brain. Nis, what do you think about that? Nis, I really need help with that, right? And when I started understanding my role in my life with all of these patterns a little bit better, and then gave my mom the benefit of the doubt and was like, okay, let's maybe I can give it a chance, maybe. And I started looking into the direction. It wasn't necessarily law of attraction; it was more like spirituality in general, and trying to see what religion calls God, what spiritual people would call maybe universe, life force, whatever, within myself, and see if I can get like some kind of flow and some kind of like co-creative thingy out of that. Yeah, when I started doing that, I completely went down the rabbit hole of everything woo woo, like everything astrology, tarot cards, witchcraft. I tried that out. I like really took a a deep dive into that, and I tried it all out, and it worked. Everything worked to a certain degree, but not in a satisfactory way. It was never satisfying. It was always like I have all of this knowledge, but I can't use it in my normal, boring everyday life. How do I get out of my head? How do I get to a place where I can utilize that knowledge? And I always had this idea that, or this feeling more, that my subconscious mind was hiding something from me. Like I knew for a fact there was some information that just needed to be unlocked. And as soon as I find that, everything clicks into place, everything makes sense. But
Mm.
I'm also a little bit of a dramatic person, and due to my own history and my own experiences, I needed to find that hidden thing, which was absolutely not hidden, by the way. That was just a stupid assumption of mine.
Uh-huh.
I needed to find it a dramatic way. And then I went down the road of, well, getting rejected by the guy I was madly in love with, and everything was falling apart. But then I still tried to force my way through it and using the tarot cards and looking here and there and trying, forcing my way to Serbia to live here, standing in front of a store and be like, I'm back. You still love me. And it went well for a little while, and then it just shit hit the fan, like
Mhm.
really big time. And this dramatic experience and the massive depression that came with it, and the like losing everything and not knowing what to do, because I mean you're also in a foreign country, right? So
Mhm.
imagine you do not speak Spanish, imagine you are out of money, imagine you're completely by yourself. It's like kind of an uncomfortable situation
Yeah.
there. But I totally needed this discomfort in order to finally just see what was always there. And then it was like, funnily enough, it was a panic attack that led me to it. There was, for the first time, I could watch myself being almost like a puppet of my subconscious mind. But then
Mm.
my conscious mind looked at myself and was like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this, you know, right? You don't have to, like, you can just like sit and chill. And it took me a couple of hours to calm down and snap out of it, like snap out of it completely, because these panic attacks, they have a habit of coming in waves, I would
Mm.
say. So it took me a few hours to really snap out of it and be calm and normal again. And then I realized that I've actually experienced something similar so many times before. How many times have you been trying to make a decision on whether or not you should do something, and you had this inner conflict? You had almost those two people inside of you that were like, yeah, but I'm not sure, but what if this happens and what if that happens and ba 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 ba? Those
Mm.
like two people fighting with one another. And then you finally make the decision, and either you say, I don't care, I'm just going to do it, or you say, you know what, you convinced me, let's not go for it. Right. And so when I realized this thing was there always, like literally always, and I was like, how could I have been so blind? And then I started like really going down another rabbit hole. Essentially, I like going down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
I dismissed everything that I learned before about the universe, everything about astrology, everything. I put it all to the side, and I just focused like a maniac on the subconscious mind, everything about the brain, our biology, the chemistry that happens in our brain, and all of that. And when I was done educating myself and also realizing that actually my entire life has led to this. Everything that I studied, even though I studied music, it was music cognition, musicology, and music design, right? And
Mhm.
everything that I did kind of led to this. I wrote, for instance, before I handed in my final thesis in college, back in college, where it was about lead guitars and how they developed. Has nothing to do with my topic now, right? But before I chose this topic, I actually chose a different one, which was how music activates parts of the brain, parts of the memory in Alzheimer patients, which are supposedly dead. How does that work, right? How can Alzheimer patients become lucid by hearing a specific song? Doesn't make sense. So I wrote a paper about that, but then the professor changed and I changed, but now I actually can use that knowledge from that paper. And now that I'm like where I am right now, I see the value in literally everything from religion to astrology to even witchcraft. I see at what state I was at back at the time, how I needed that knowledge and how I can utilize it now. Now my mindset is pretty straight and I'm pretty set and confident in what I'm doing, but I still see the value in stuff like, let's say, witchcraft, right?
Mm,
I don't believe in magic. I know magic does not exist for me. Therefore, it doesn't exist for me.
mhm,
However, I do see it as a technique for manifesting. If I could have faith and trust and believe in magic, I know it will work. So why shouldn't other people who are on a different path, who are not focused on coaching other people, who are not focused on knowing as much as they possibly humanly can, why shouldn't they utilize that? Why shouldn't they do their little witchy stuff? Why not? Why not use the tarot cards? But, and this is like my goal essentially, I want those people to understand that they are in power and that they are in fact in charge. And I want to get rid of all these fear-based limits of, oh my god, the divine masculine and divine feminine, and oh my god, and what if this happens and the third party here, and but my natal chart says that I'm only gonna find my love when I'm 51 or whatever, right? All of these things, I want to get rid of that stuff essentially. And the way I actually got to be a coach, I had clients for years. So that was not very new to me, but that was all based on other stuff. And then because of my background in musicology and music design, and my now new knowledge that I got, I started producing subliminals because I remembered from college that subliminals are actually a thing, that they are actually quite popular, and a lot of like people in advertising, for instance, use them. They have used them for years, if not centuries. So I started producing them, and then people came and had questions. How does that work? How many times do I need to listen to that? I don't understand. Do I have to listen to it with headphones or not? Can I just ignore it? Can I sleep while I'm listening to it? Blah, 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 right? All of these questions. And at some point in time, I was like, okay, might as well just make a video about that. And then people came and asked for direct one-on-one coaching. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So it's kind of like naturally progressing everything. And this in total led me to where I'm right now.
that is amazing. I love that, and thanks for sharing all
Sure.
some of your background. I'm sure there are many other bits as well, but a quick line summary of what led you to what you're doing. And you know, a lot of what you said as well actually resonated with me, and I remember that moment clearly as well when I was like, "Oh hell, I am the common denominator in my life," you know?
Yes.
And it was after a really traumatic breakup as well, where I totally loved this guy. We were living abroad and I lost everything. And it was like, oh my God. And in that moment, you know, started becoming, well, I was always curious, but really started, you know, doing practices because I had read all the books and was always kind of into the esoteric and spirituality and things like that, but it was like my hidden secret. You know, I knew there was something there, but I didn't really understand it, but I certainly didn't talk about it with anyone either. So it was all kind of very secretive in that, but I didn't have any kind of practice. I was not any ways conscious or, you know, observing myself or anything like that. So after that, it kind of, I really started getting serious and, you know, taking that responsibility and going, oh, hang on, I am the common denominator. There has to be something within me. And I have had many face plant moments as well, going, oh my God, how could I be so blind? Like it was literally right in front of my eyes and I could not see it. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more on the subconscious mind, because for some people as well, it can still be a very elusive thing. And actually, the power that it does have in our life and how we can become more conscious of what we are currently blind to, although it's right in front of our eyes. How do
Yeah,
you help
right.
people to, I suppose, see that more?
Well, the first thing is that, and I just believe that this is a common misconception of the subconscious mind. A lot of people think that the subconscious is more powerful when it's actually not. I think the main problem that people have is that they believe that their subconscious is something that is out of their control and they don't really know how to deal with it. And it's just like weird. And what's the ego? And is there a higher self? And all of that, right? There's a lot of chaos there, a lot of misinformation. And quite frankly, a ton of people out on the internet throwing words around like as within, so without doesn't help because nobody actually explains it. So here's my explanation. And I am fully aware of the fact that I have actually no idea what's going on in terms of how the universe works. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have assumptions based on the current state of science and our evolutionary state, but the current state of science that we are dealing with, they also don't know. Like we know why atoms and particles are reacting, like, or we know how they react, but we don't know why. And they seem to have an awareness of themselves, of their own, and it doesn't make sense. So it's like a big fat
Hmm.
question mark, essentially.
Yeah.
But what we can talk about is what we are actually experiencing and then compare it with what we know from science based on brain scans. What is happening there? And just listen to your inner self, essentially. So, when it comes to the subconscious, this is what I call the ego. I don't make a difference between a higher self and an ego. I just call our subconscious mind, which for me is nothing but a storage unit of experiences, preferences, and they are all linked, connected to our limbic system where we produce our emotions. And I call this our ego because this is the part that is solely there for us to A, function at a level which requires us to not really put in any effort. If you look at our physical body, everything that happens, and those are processes like digesting food, like our heartbeat, blood pumping, oxygen levels rising and falling, everything that happens within our body, we are not really aware of it. Like we know, yeah, there is something happening, but it's not like I have to sit and think, okay, heart pump now, and pump now, and pump now. That's not how it is, right? So
Hmm.
we are, by our biology, kind of designed to be lazy. We are designed to not put a lot of effort and energy into the basics of our existence so that we can then use our energy for other stuff, development, I don't know, gathering food, whatever it is that you want to do, right? Whatever floats your boat, essentially. So our ego, our subconscious mind is nothing but a biased storage unit. And it's not biased by nature. It's not biased because the universe has an opinion. It's not biased because God looks at you and says, well, you're worthy and you're not worthy. It's literally biased by your own emotions. We do not like discomfort. We do not like being threatened in life, right? There are like those, I don't know how many, I think seven or something around that number, main survival fears, right? That we get triggered if we see them. If we see a snake that looks like that comes in funky colors, we're like, oh, no, better not touch that one. If we hear something very loud and we cannot determine where it comes from or what it is, it's like, oh, better not go there. If we see something that puts us off, if we are in physical pain, whatever kind of potentially life threatening thing that we can be faced with, it puts us off. It activates our survival instinct and it says, nope, better not do that. Let's just like, no, let's just go home. Right. So this is actually a good thing. However, when it comes to our life experience, and this is based on the fact that we are all kind of a little bit messed up, we are all a little bit broken inside. We all have something, even though, like, people don't necessarily need to have like a horrible childhood or
Hmm.
have been experiencing abuse or whatever in order to be a little bit messed up. It's just literally society and where we are at.
Yeah.
That's enough. That is enough to traumatize somebody, right? Most of our parents did not know better. So we observed our surroundings and we took notes there. And whatever we deemed to be important, based on our emotional reaction, we stored in our minds. It's like, for instance, my Arabic father had the habit of, well, bitch slapping me whenever I did something wrong, essentially. So he thought, okay, if I cause physical pain to my child, when she does something wrong, she will learn not to do things wrong. But that's not what my subconscious picked up on. My subconscious saw the second this man raises his hand, even if it's just to scratch his forehead, I'm gonna experience pain. So every time he is raising his hand, I'm like, I was flinching. I was like, we up, please don't. I didn't do anything. Go away. Right? So this is how the subconscious is actually working. It's funny. We are making or taking mental notes based on what we experience and how we felt about that. Now, our positive experiences, even though they are beautiful, they are not necessarily a thing that we need to survive. We have a few basic needs. We need shelter, we need food, we need sleep. We have like certain hygienic expectations on our body, but that's essentially it. Those are like our basic needs that we need for survival. So everything that is on top, everything that's fun, that's nice, that's comfortable, is not necessarily necessary, right? It's not a basic human need for us. So this is why the subconscious has a little bit of a like, we don't need to necessarily take a mental note here. We just don't have to do that because it's not threatening for us. Yeah, it's inviting. Of course, if this nice experiences wants to happen again, by all means, we're going to go for it. But the second something happens that is threatening to us, we better watch out. We better take a note because potentially this could harm our life, our existence.
Mm.
We could potentially die here. Now, problem with humans is that we develop very, 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 very slowly, and we are very much dependent on our parents, especially as children. And we've all seen it. A toddler is running, they fall, literally nothing happens. Literally. No bruise, no physical pain, no nothing. But just the simple shock of it causes the toddler to cry like there's no tomorrow.
Mm.
They have a little bit of an overreaction because they are in shock. So, our childhood self, our child self, people could call inner child, and what I also refer to as inner child, is very much, how do I say that? Our childhood memories are very much not real. They are extremely clouded by our emotional reactions. And what we remember is not what actually happened. We remember a way more dramatic version of it because of our drastic or dramatic emotional reaction that we had, because this was literally the first time that we experienced it. Every time a child or a baby or a toddler experiences discomfort, it's literally the first time of their life. So the subconscious goes like, oh, whoa, 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 we got to take a mental note here. This is harmful. So those memories, those incidences get stored in our synapses. And because our brain has different areas and all of these different areas have different functions, they have like different little tasks that they are doing in order for us to be alive and to function well. Those synapses are stored in different areas. So if I see something, if I like something happens to me as a child, I have a visual. I also have a tactile sense. I also have like maybe if my dad slapped me, something with my balance is also activated in that moment. Of course, the physical pain is activated. That's in another part of the brain. Then my emotional response is activated, which is in another part of the brain. And all of these synapses store a part of the same memory, and they are connected by neural pathways, which is such a vast, gigantic, enormous network. People are underestimating that. They think if I have one thought and if I can cancel that one out, it means everything gets canceled out. No, everything is connected to everything. This is why it takes a little while to get a handle on it, essentially. So now we have those kind of not completely true memories from childhood. And this is, by the way, that's a scientific fact. If you would think back to your childhood home, you could be 1,000% sure, oh yeah, the living room had two windows. For sure, I remember it vividly. And then you see pictures of your childhood home. You're like, well, that's actually three windows. Wow. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's just a human thing that we do. That's normal essentially, but it's something that people need to be aware of. That's the child part. Now we have an adult part in ourselves that needs to make on a subconscious level the decisions. This is dangerous, this is not dangerous. The adult in us is essentially the part of us that structures things, that plans ahead, that tries to prevent or provide for. And the adult part of us wants to take care of the childhood based on what the child has experienced. And both of them are part of our subconscious, essentially. Both of them are our ego. Our ego is not just one person. Our ego is, like, metaphorically speaking, two people. It's a child and it's an adult. And they are constantly checking in with one another because we have the desires. They come from our childish side. This is the, oh yeah, I want that. Oh yeah, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then the adult clicks in and is like, there is potential danger here and there based on this memory and that experience and that. So they are constantly checking in with one another. And this is what happens. And as long as we are not aware of that, as long as we are not listening to our thoughts, which is the only thing we need to do, as long as we are not looking at our 3D environment, our life experience, which is the second kind of like, it's not something that we need to do, but it's like very useful to do that, right? A lot of coaches are in the ignore your 3D to get what you want. No, maybe not. Maybe accept that your 3D is a part of you and you created that. So check in with it. Look at what is actually happening. Exactly what we were talking about in the beginning when I realized, oh my God, I am the only one that's not changing. Everything outside of me has changed. People, situations, everything. And still I experience the same. Same as you said, right? So until we have this realization, it's kind of hard to be aware of anything, honestly.
Yeah.
And on top of that, our society is kind of like rigged in ways where we are working 24/7, and when we are done working we consume stuff. We don't really take the time to sit and listen and feel. What are we feeling? We don't really look at stuff. We see things that we don't like and we complain about, and that's it. We are also not really working out. Yeah, we go to the gym and we lift weights and stuff like that, but like actually getting to know your physical body. Yoga, for instance, is a like great thing. When I started doing yoga, after just a few months, I was like, how could I live without this before? It doesn't make sense. It was like I was on autopilot. So because we are in this kind of sleepy state where we are not aware of our subconscious mind, we have unsatisfying life experiences. We don't like that. And every single one of us who has ever like reached some kind of state of awareness of being like woke, essentially, right, has at some point in their life expressed the desire, or even if it wasn't expressed, they felt the desire to change. I want more. This is not good enough for me anymore. This sucks. I'm unhappy. I'm unsatisfied. Everything goes wrong. I don't fucking like it anymore, right? So, what happened then? Their subconscious took a note of it. And they're like two little parts of them. The child and the child was expressing the desire, and the adult was like, okay, well, we have to get you there somehow. And because you're on autopilot, you just naturally went down a pathway that got you there. For a lot of people, it is a romantic relationship that's gone sour. Because if we have issues with our friends, yeah, my God, it's a friend. Might as well toss that, get another one, right? If we have issues with our family, well, it's family. Nobody really likes their family. I'm just going to move to a different country, a different city, whatever, right? But if it's romantic love, ooh, we have all of the like different types of love that we can experience all crammed into one person. We have the platonic one, we have the like family kind of thing because now we are a family. And we also have the romantic stuff, we have the sexual stuff, we have the passion, we have everything. So when this goes wrong, it's kind of hard to ignore it. And it triggers everything within us. It causes us so much pain that we are then forced to change. This is because we express the desire to change. It's not our fault. It really isn't. So that's the positive thing of the relationship going bad. However, the like not so super positive thing, but it's just something that we need to learn to accept, is that we are filled with limits. We are filled with doubts. We are filled with insecurities. That's just normal. Nobody tells us. Nobody freaking tells us. Every time we start something new, whether it's learning an instrument, whether it's going to the gym, having a new job, just anything that we're not used to, it takes time for us to adapt to the new us. When I pick up the guitar for the very first time in my life, oh God, I had theoretical knowledge of how to do it. I played a bunch of other instruments, but that didn't mean that I could like pick up the guitar and was next Jimi Hendrix. I failed at it many, many times, and I needed to practice for a very long time in order to get to a place where I was like halfway satisfied with my skills.
Mm.
And this whole concept of this is what I call transition and purging. In a lot of areas of our life, this is very normal. When it comes to romantic relationships, nobody thinks this is normal. Nobody thinks about that. Nobody speaks about it because a lot of people just don't know. But if I have been single, even if it was just for a week, and I have become a single version of myself, and then I fall in love with somebody out of nowhere, and I start being in a relationship with somebody, I stop being me. I change, and I focus so much on the good thing in the other person, and vice versa, that I now need to shed everything that is not in alignment with this good version of myself anymore. And this is why all of this shit comes up. This is why we
Mm.
experience all our insecurities, because now the subconscious is like, okay, we have a bunch of memories in our storage space that do not align with this anymore whatsoever. So we don't need it. This is our brain that based on the premises of use it or lose it. If people are more interested in that, they should go check out neural plasticity.
Mm.
So our subconscious says, okay, we apparently do not use this anymore. We don't need it anymore, so they toss it out. And the way it gets tossed out, it's the only way it can get tossed out, given the fact that our experience is uniquely due to our awareness and our consciousness. It needs to get out in our consciousness. It needs to come up. We need to look at it one more time, being like, yo, do we still need this?
Mhm.
So we have like here an insecurity. We think we're a little bit too fat, but the new guy seems to really like our thickness. So do we still need to think that we're too fat? No. Boom, I gonna think I'm too fat. And I'm gonna be like, oh no, I don't want you to see me naked. And that's all. That's literally all. If people would know that this is a natural transition and purge experience, we would not mess up our relationships so early on. But unfortunately, nobody tells
Mm.
us, and that's why we mess it up. And then we get to the knowledge, and then we want to like make it better, right? We want to get back at it, and that's the whole thing. So
Yeah.
this is all about the subconscious. But if people would realize that actually, if you are just cool with the subconscious, if you're just okay with all the processes that are happening within there, and you observe them without judgment, without reacting towards it,
Mhm.
because this is what people are doing. They view their child and their adult discussing something, trying to make up their mind on whether or not we should do that or that, and then with their conscious mind they feel everything, right? With their bodies, we have those feelings, we have the anxiety, we have everything. And instead of taking the lead position, which what our conscious mind is supposed to be doing, we say, "Oh God, I'm overpowered. Yeah, you guys decide. I'm out of here. I'm out of here." But again, how many times have you made the final decision even though you were scared? Even though everything inside of you said like, oh God, no, I'm gonna pee my pants. This is too much. And then you just said, I don't care. I'm gonna do it. This
Yeah.
is the importance. It's actually what I teach are two things essentially. It's how do you fill up your brain with new stuff? How do you make peace with the past memories and heal them and make new memories and create new pathways and dissolve old pathways and essentially allow old synapses to die, to not
Mhm.
use them anymore. That's the one part. This is what I call healing. This is healing the inner child. This is healing trauma. This is healing everything.
Yeah.
And then the other part is, how do I consciously create my life experience? And this is the part where the conscious mind steps in. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
subconscious anymore, because the second I am aware, it is not my subconscious that dictates what I'm doing. It is my conscious mind that dictates.
Yeah.
And people have the freedom to choose what to do in any situation. But we are a little bit of like wussies, and we are like, no, this is uncomfortable, and I don't know, and blah. And we have yet to learn how to focus correctly. That's something that we can put on our focus on specific things, but it's like we still lack, and I count myself as that as well. We still kind of lack the ability to decide which thoughts come up. Like we still randomly focus, and then we have the freedom to recalibrate our focus. But if we could learn to focus on purpose in the first place, ooh, that would make life so much easier. And this
Yeah.
is essentially what I'm doing. And this is when I explain these things to people on my channel and also in sessions, essentially based on what level this person that I'm talking to is at. So if I'm dealing with somebody who is, I don't know, still watching tarot card readings on YouTube about how are they feeling about you in this moment, I will approach them differently than somebody who has read 20 million Neville Goddard Law of Assumption, Law of Attraction books. Definitely in a different way. So I will explain it based on whoever is in front of me. And then I try to simplify it. And I want people to understand it once and then drop it and then just use it. This is something that I learned in music. Skills mean, if you have skills, if you want to have skills, it means that you learn something once and then you forget that you learned it. For instance, when I compose a song, yes, I have knowledge of the cycle of fifths. I have knowledge in theory. I know what chord progression I can use. But when I'm composing the song, I'm not sitting there thinking about a chord progression. I'm not sitting there thinking about the theory of it. I'm not sitting there be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, and wait, Mozart did this, and then we have this chord progression and this rule, and no, I cannot use. No, this is not how I compose a song. I sit, I compose the song however I feel like. If it sounds stupid, I'm gonna toss it. I'm gonna make something else. If it sounds good, I'm gonna keep it. And these skills I have developed based on the knowledge. So I want to feed people the knowledge first and then show them how to actually not dismiss it, but forget it. How do you actually utilize it in your day to day life? And that's the easiest part of it all. You just freaking focus your thoughts. If I have a bad thought,
Mm-hmm.
I say, okay, that was then, now it's something else. I'm going to focus on the good stuff now. And
Yeah.
that's essentially it.
I know, and that is essentially it. It is learning to focus and be intentional with our thoughts and where we are putting our focus and attention. But I know for me, the journey to get to that simple understanding was not very straightforward. It was the spiral, and that is the work as well. And even like A Course in Miracles talks about as well, it's all about learning to discipline our mind, to be in control of our mind and not live at the mercy of it. From, like you mentioned, the subconscious mind, it's just a recording machine. It's just something that has all these programs that we're playing. And when we look at them, and even science again, 95% of what we're playing is not even ours in the first place. It's what we've observed. It's what we've picked up from family, from peers, from society, from the environment, from education. So when we start being curious and looking at some of these and then literally coming off the autopilot, being more conscious, waking up and beginning to put in new programs, that's when our life really starts to change. And that idea of we have to feel it to heal it, that's the release and the purge that you spoke about as well. And then consciously creating, consciously focusing our mind. And honestly, like, I think people will have to go back and listen to that a couple of times, because you shared so much there in that last piece. And unfortunately, there's so many other questions on my mind to ask, but maybe we'll do a follow-up again at another time. But I suppose, is there even some simple, and I say that in inverted commas, tip that you can leave people with on how they can begin to be more conscious or in charge and focusing their thoughts intentionally?
Yes, there is something that I've been doing for a while now, and this is gold, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. So, whenever I feel triggered, and by triggered I mean whenever I have a uncomfortable reaction to whatever I'm faced by, I take a step back, and let's say I have an argument with my boyfriend, or he says something, and I all of a sudden feel jealous. Then I will just leave the room. I will go to the bathroom or the kitchen. I will wash my hands. And within those few seconds, I look into the mirror and I ask myself, do I need to be an asshole right now? Literally these words. Do I need to be an asshole right now? Do I need to be triggered right now? Is there a chance that he didn't mean it? Is there a chance that I'm seeing it wrong? Is there a chance that my perspective is clouded by emotions? Is there a chance that I'm overreacting? Do I need to be an asshole right now? And the answer is always no, I don't need to. And yes, there is the very, very big chance that I'm actually mistaken. So if you can be cool with yourself, looking in the mirror and seeing, or just like opening up your mind to the possibility that you might be wrong. If you can do that, this helps a lot, because then you just instantly switch from being in a triggered, activated, resistant state, ready to explode, to a, yeah, I'm humbled down now. It doesn't necessarily mean that the other person is right and you're wrong. It doesn't mean that whatever they did or whatever you are experiencing is fair or is a good thing or is something that, I don't know, it doesn't take away the credit of your experience. It just puts you in a position from being reactive and making ego based, not so smart decisions into a state of, okay, let's see what's actually happening here. And then you can make smart, informed decisions. Right? So this is the one thing that can truly help. Every single time you're triggered, even if it has nothing to do with another person, even if a freaking bus is coming late and you're afraid you're late to show up at work, you can just be like to yourself, do I need to freak out right now? Do I need to do this right now? Can I just, in this moment, relax, chill, see what happens? And should I be late? Should everything fall down? Should everything just explode in my face? I can still cry and freak out then. But why? Why would I take my moment right now and ruin it with negativity, with unpleasantness, if I can just chill? And then once shit hits the fan, I can still be dramatic and cry about it. I
Yeah.
don't have to like get used to being dramatic about something. It's like this thing when back in school, back in the days, when you had a test or you had your finals or whatever, you were anxious before them, you were anxious during them, and once they were done, usually I would be like, oh, thank God, it's over. And the rest of my classmates would be like, oh my God, we're gonna get them back in a week. Oh my God, I feel nauseous. Oh my God, what if I failed? What if I failed? I'm like, yeah, well, you find out next week. Like, why would you ruin your freedom, you're done with it. It's over. There's literally nothing that you can do. There is no value in stressing yourself over something that you can't change anyways. So might as well chill. Let's go out. Let's have fun. Be glad that this is over. And then next week, if you have failed, we can all cry collectively. Why not? Right?
I know, yeah, totally. But that's exactly it. And, as a society, as a people, we don't take that pause. We are in that reactive because our nervous systems, everything, we're just so hyped up and living in this stress and busy mode that we don't take that pause. And it's so important. And especially when triggered, because 99% of the time, or 99.999% of the times, it's nothing to do with the other person. It's all within us. And that's why when we can begin to take a pause, and I always talk about, I just leading with curiosity has been the greatest savior in my life as well. And allowing that curiosity, allowing just to view, okay, what might be happening here? Like if I just accept what is, what information could I be getting as well? Just being curious about what's showing up and how we're feeling and things. So, yeah. But anyway, so much we could continue to talk about, and I'm sure people would get different nuggets from the conversation. But please share as well where people can find more about your work and your videos and working with you.
Yeah, of course. So my main thing that I'm doing is YouTube, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a YouTube channel. It's called 5 Minute Subs. It's like 5 MINSUBS. Um, Essentially, all of the informations, if I have one topic, I make at least 5 videos about that topic in different styles, just so that everybody gets it, essentially. Those are all on the free channel. If somebody is interested in group coaching, there is a membership area where you can come, be a member, and have regular live coaching with me and extra video material, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a free Facebook group, the I Want It, I Got It Facebook group. And when it comes to the other styles of coaching, everything is essentially linked in my description boxes. On my YouTube channel, there is the possibility of having email coaching with me. There are several packages that you can choose from. And then there is the one-on-one video or voice call, depending on whether you're shy or not, whether you're comfortable
Yeah.
with looking at me or not, where you can just like an hour call with me. So those are the things that I offer at the moment.
Amazing. And like always, I will have links as well from the show notes to your YouTube and your group and all your different activities that you're doing. And thank you so much, Nis, for joining me today and for sharing with us all.
Yeah, thank you for having me. That was quite cool. Lovely experience.